They never sound abusive at first. That's why you stay. Narcissists rarely begin with insults. They begin with sentences that sound normal, reasonable, calm, even caring. But hidden inside those words is control. These are the 6 sentences that quietly destroy your confidence without you realizing it. The terrifying part is that most victims apologize back, not because they are guilty, because the manipulation already worked. When most people picture a narcissist, they imagine someone loud, arrogant, obviously cruel, someone who insults you openly, someone easy to walk away from. But the most dangerous narcissists, they don't look like that at all. They look like the most understanding person in the room. They speak calmly. They smile. They say all the right things. This is what makes narcissistic abuse so uniquely devastating. It doesn't feel like abuse while it's happening. It feels like miscommunication, like you're overreacting, like maybe you're the problem. Researchers at the University of Surrey found that narcissists score significantly higher in what psychologists call social boldness, meaning they're unusually skilled at reading social situations and saying exactly what people want to hear. They've spent years perfecting a language that sounds reasonable on the surface but functions as control underneath. There's a term for this: covert manipulation. Unlike overt abuse, hitting, yelling, obvious threats, covert manipulation leaves no fingerprints, no bruises. Just a slow, creeping confusion that makes you question your own memory, your own perception, your own sanity. Psychologists call this gaslighting, a term coined from the 1944 film Gaslight, where a husband secretly manipulates his wife into believing she's losing her mind. Decades of clinical research have since confirmed this isn't just a movie plot. It's a documented psychological pattern used by narcissists worldwide. Today, we're going to break down 6 specific sentences, real phrases used by real narcissists, that sound completely reasonable when you first hear them. But once you understand what they actually mean, you will never hear them the same way again. Sentence number 1. I was just joking. You're so sensitive. On the surface, this sounds like someone defending a harmless comment, but in the hands of a narcissist, this sentence serves a precise function. It delivers a wound, then blames you for bleeding. Clinical psychologist Dr. Ramani Durvasula, one of the world's leading experts on narcissistic abuse, describes this as a dual attack. First, the narcissist says something demeaning about your appearance, your intelligence, your choices. When you react, they immediately reframe it as humor. Now you're not just hurt, you're oversensitive. You're too emotional. The original insult vanishes and a new narrative replaces it. The problem is your reaction, not their words. Over time, this trains you to suppress your emotional responses. You stop reacting. You stop trusting your instincts, exactly as intended. Sentence number 2. I never said that. You always twist my words. Memory is imperfect. Narcissists know this and exploit it with surgical precision. When confronted about something they said or did, they don't apologize. They deny. And not just deny, they attack your perception of reality itself. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Personality Disorders found that individuals with high narcissistic traits consistently used memory denial as a conflict resolution strategy, not because they genuinely forgot, but because denial is more effective than apology in maintaining dominance. The phrase, "you always twist my words," is particularly destructive. The word "always" converts a single incident into a character flaw. You're not just wrong about this conversation, you're someone who chronically distorts reality. And if you believe that about yourself long enough, you stop bringing things up at all. Sentence number 3. You're making me feel like a bad person. This sentence is perhaps the most insidious of all. Because it takes genuine accountability language and inverts it completely. In healthy relationships, saying "your actions hurt me" is vulnerable and honest. A narcissist weaponizes that same structure. When they say, "you're making me feel like a bad person," they've accomplished three things simultaneously. They've shifted the emotional focus from your pain to theirs. They've positioned themselves as the victim, and they've made you responsible for their feelings, while completely avoiding any discussion of what they actually did. Therapist and author Shannon, in her book Healing from Hidden Abuse, calls this DARVO: deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. The narcissist who hurt you suddenly becomes the one who is hurting. And you, seeking resolution, find yourself apologizing to the person who wronged you. Sentence number 4. I only did that because you pushed me to it. Accountability is foreign to the narcissistic mind, not because narcissists don't understand cause and effect, but because accepting blame threatens the carefully constructed self-image they depend on for psychological survival. So instead, every action gets an external cause. They yelled because you provoked them. They cheated because you weren't attentive enough. They lied because you made them feel cornered. This is called external attribution in psychology, and in narcissists, it operates not as an occasional excuse, but as a complete, permanent worldview. What makes this sentence so effective long-term is that it trains the victim to constantly monitor their own behavior. You start walking on eggshells, not because you're afraid of violence, but because you genuinely believe that your words, your tone, your timing causes the narcissist's behavior. You become your own jailer. Sentence number 5. No one else has a problem with me, it's just you. Isolation is a core tool of narcissistic control, but sophisticated narcissists don't isolate you physically, they isolate you psychologically. And this sentence does exactly that. By invoking a nameless, faceless consensus, no one else, the narcissist positions you as the outlier. Everyone else is fine with them. Every other relationship is smooth. The problem is uniquely, specifically you. This triggers what social psychologists call normative social influence, our deep human instinct to align with the perceived majority. What you don't see, the narcissist carefully maintains different masks for different people. Friends, co-workers, family. They each get a curated version designed to maximize approval. The version you see, the controlling, manipulative, volatile version, is reserved for those closest to them. You're not the exception. You're the one they've stopped performing for. Sentence number 6. I've changed. I'm not that person anymore. This sentence appears at a very specific moment, after a major incident, when the victim is closest to leaving. It arrives with tears, sometimes with gifts, always with sincerity that feels absolutely real. And here's the painful truth. Sometimes, in that moment, the narcissist believes it themselves. Psychologists describe this as the narcissistic cycle of abuse. Tension builds, explosion occurs. Then comes the honeymoon phase, characterized by remorse, affection, and promises of change. Brain imaging studies have shown that during this phase, the narcissist experiences genuine emotional activation. It's not entirely performance. But without sustained therapeutic intervention, specifically long-term work addressing the underlying personality structure, the cycle repeats. Research from the Journal of Clinical Psychology indicates that core narcissistic traits show among the lowest rates of change of any personality pattern, even with treatment. The sentence "I've changed" is almost never false in the moment, but the moment passes. Understanding these sentences is only half the work. The harder half is knowing what to do when you hear them, especially when the person saying them is someone you love. Step 1. Trust your body, not just your mind. Narcissistic manipulation is specifically designed to override your rational analysis. By the time you've finished processing what was said, the conversation has moved on, the sentence has been reframed, and you're left confused. Your nervous system, however, responds faster than conscious thought. A racing heart, a sinking stomach, a sudden urge to apologize for something you didn't do. These are data points. Learn to treat them as such. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, author of The Body Keeps the Score, documents extensively how trauma, including emotional and psychological trauma, is stored somatically. Victims of narcissistic abuse frequently report knowing something was wrong long before they could articulate it. That knowledge lives in the body first. Step 2. Document everything. Not for a court case, for yourself. Narcissists weaponize your memory against you. A private journal, dates, exact words used, your emotional response at the time, creates an external record your mind can return to when the gaslighting makes you doubt yourself. Many therapists who specialize in narcissistic abuse call this reality anchoring. Step 3. Learn the gray rock method. Developed within survivor communities and later validated by therapists, the gray rock method involves becoming as uninteresting and unreactive as possible in interactions with a narcissist. Narcissists feed on emotional response, drama, tears, arguments, even joy. When you respond with neutral, flat, minimal engagement, you remove the fuel. You become like a gray rock, simply not worth the effort. Step 4. Rebuild your external reality. Narcissists work by narrowing your world. Fewer friends, less family contact, more dependence on them as your primary reality check. Rebuilding means deliberately expanding. One trusted friend you speak to honestly. One therapist who understands personality disorders. One community, even online, of people with shared experience. You are not oversensitive. You are not crazy. You are not the problem. What you are is someone whose perception of reality was systematically targeted by someone skilled at exactly that. Recognizing the sentences is the first step. Trusting yourself again is the work, and that work, however long it takes, is always worth doing. If even one of these sentences felt familiar, your mind already knows something is wrong, and the moment you recognize manipulation, it begins losing power over you.